Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank. Hello and a warm welcome to Africa Investor TV, where we bring you all your African business news with me, Avon Middleton. We begin today's bulletin with a look at politics and economy. Botswana, the world's biggest diamond producer, is facing its worst economic crisis after global jewelry sales slumped. That's unlikely to end the 43-year rule of the Botswana Democratic Party when people go to the polls today. The biggest opposition party is the Botswana National Front, which advocates more help for the poor. The only other party represented in parliament is the Botswana Congress Party, which has one seat. And on Wednesday, the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni said the country is willing to host peace negotiations between the Sudanese government and rebels in the Darfur region. Museveni told reporters that Sudanese President Omar Bashir, though wanted by the International Criminal Court, can be provided a safe passage to the peace hub in the capital Kampala, 40 kilometers north of Entebbe. With that, we're going to take a short break. Do stay with us.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
Companies and markets news. Brewing giant SAB Miller has met consensus forecast by posting a 1% fall in first half, underlying beer volumes as the global slowdown continued to hit demand for its beers around the world. They have specifically observed declining trends in Latin America, Europe and South Africa. In other news, Kingdom Meikles Limited Director Callisto Jokonya will not attend today's general meeting, which is meant to force him and two other directors to step down from the KML board if the meeting is sanctioned by investigators. Mr. Jokonya said the acting chairman, Mr. Muchadei Masunda, should be the one to step down because of his flagrant disregard of corporate governance principles in doing business. With that, we're going to take a short break. We come back with banking news up next.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
Now, banking and finance news. Nigeria's central bank published a new list of bank customers whose bad debts endangered 5 lenders in Africa's second biggest economy. The list includes customers of Bank PHB, Spring Bank, Wema Bank, Equatorial Trust Bank, and the Unity Bank. And the Kenyan Treasury is promising a speedy clearance of the huge tax refunds backlog that business people say has taken billions of shillings from their hands, forcing them to rely on expensive bank loans to remain in business. The Treasury said it will soon allow the Kenya Revenue Authority to pay all outstanding refunds to taxpayers who have consistently paid their dues in time, adding a tax compliance incentive to the plan. Economists suggest that this release of refunds could speed up the pace of economic activity in the country. We're going to take another short break. Infrastructure news up next.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market, infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
In infrastructure news now, the South African government is racing against time to decide on the acquisition of 8 Airbus A400 military transport aircraft, with the price rising dramatically from 17 to 47 billion rand. It has 2 weeks to decide whether to press on, paying a hefty 30 billion extra, or cancel and restart the procurement process for aircraft needed to meet its peacekeeping obligations. And China is in talks to develop a multi-billion-dollar port and transport corridor that might be used to export Chinese oil drilled in southern Sudan. An agreement has not been made yet, but Kenya has held talks with Qatar regarding a potential $3.5 billion investment in the port project. And lastly, Tullow Oil PLC announced on Thursday that the Mahogany 4 appraisal well has successfully encountered a large column of net oil pay, and the Mahogany Deep 2 well commenced drilling. The Mahogany 4 appraisal well has intersected light oil columns and sandstone reservoirs. In total, 43 meters of net hydrocarbon pay were penetrated. Mahogany 4 is the easternmost well on the Jubilee field to date and has been drilled to evaluate its lateral extent and to explore deeper potential reservoir targets. And with that news, thank you for staying with Africa Investor today. For more on these stories and others, log on to www.africa-investor.com. From us, have a good day. Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.